Good evening and welcome to today's charts of the day. A few weeks ago, we did an exploration of the aerospace industry and looked pretty deep into all of the holdings within ITA. Today, I'd like to review some of those and see where we are. And again, a lot of the same concerns that we had talked about as far as a shift in sentiment in the aerospace industry are still very, very valid within ITA, not just those related to Boeing. But we take a quick review since some of these reported recently and see where they are in their patterns and possible shift towards more of a larger degree consolidation. First, we'll go over just the biggest caps, market caps within that sector. So ITA, of course, is the aerospace industry. Similar to the market, it really looks like it is completing 5 waves up off of the 2016 low, which completes a third wave in the broader market off of the 2009 low. Interestingly here, a lot of the names held relatively higher, like Boeing and a couple of other things, here in October, November lows, and count better as an expanded flat here for the minor degree wave 4, and this move up, the possible 5 waves up that some of these are getting off of the October, November, December lows, count more as an extension of this 5th wave here, of the 5th of primary wave 3. Now, a lot of them, if that's the way that they count this, even if this got lower than ideal, it still probably counts better with that as the 4th and the 5th wave, even though the 5th wave may be truncating compared to this high that was hit here in early October. But a lot of them can still very easily count as a B wave. And so the big difference between them counting as a B wave here and getting a higher expanded flat, which would be a 5 wave move down for the C wave, or if this is an extension of primary wave 3, then they should replay all of primary wave 4 and get an ABC move. But let's move on and take a look. Actually, let's zoom in here to the structure of this possible B wave. And we have a 3-wave move up here for an A wave, a very quick, shallow B wave retrace, and then 5 waves up, which ideally counts as C for all of this B wave. We then have a possible 5-wave move down. And while we're very close to invalidating the potential start as a 1-2 or an initial A-B start in a bigger wave 1, if the entire C wave down is maybe going to be an ending diagonal, we do have still a valid setup here off of this February high that has not yet been invalidated. It came very, very close, but if it continues to turn down strongly from 210, then this will continue to be the count for that high. Even though this looked like initially a 3-wave move, if this continues and breaches that top, then I think it's more likely to just count this as the alt primary wave 3, though this could be an ending diagonal completing that at a nominal new high that doesn't necessarily need to get over the early October high as we talked about before. Let's move on to Boeing, and I'm going to go to my larger degree count here. Hopefully. Nope, this one. Boeing has been one of the Stockways' favorite names for a long time. Then we cooled on it back here in the run-up in 2015. Then we saw this very nice ABC consolidation. It actually bottomed, was very clearly completing the 5th wave of a C of 4 into that February 2016 market low, and was one of the names that, especially heading into the Brexit, that we were only looking for a C wave of 2, and were very, very bullish. And it did not disappoint, getting a massively extended move that was probably largely responsible for stretching the market. And this is one of the ones that I think looks most like that expanded flat for the minor degree wave 4, and 5 waves up that completed the minor 5th of the extended 5 of primary wave 3 at the exact 200% extension, proportionate move here with the 5th wave relative to wave 1, and hitting some nice fibs for extension for this entire 5th wave. So ideally, this is still trickling down and has a lot of room to come down, at least down into the 250 to lower 200 region for the primary wave 4. Certainly possible that an ABC move here is all of that primary wave 4, and it doesn't get another B and a C wave, but that would certainly be preferable. And the weakness that it has seen since the problems with the 737 MAX 8s and 9s, was really we were starting to look for a top to form, and we're following some of the movement off of the high before we got that nice big drop. So from right here, if it can stay under 385, then we're looking more immediately lower down to the lower 300 levels in more of the C wave of this A in part of the first ABC of that big move down. If it does get over 385, then we're looking probably for an alt B wave here up to 413 and maybe even as high as 427. But this does really look like it has confirmed a top as long as it can stay under that resistance. Moving on, let's take a look at Lockheed, LMT. LMT has had some other issues with an F-35 that I think some of the other, in the wake of, as we talked about a couple of weeks ago, in the wake of the way that things have unfolded with regard to Boeing, it seems like a lot of investors and governments and safety regulators are far more quick to ground aircraft and be concerned. So similar structure here. Of course, Lockheed got a much bigger drop after an ending diagonal to count the fifth of that primary wave 3, and still looks very much like the B wave. It could still count as the alt 5. We could count the A wave here and a B wave here and getting an extended push, but I think when we zoom in on Lockheed, it makes more sense. You have to disregard this bad tick, but I think it makes more sense, instead of the C wave that was starting to break down, that this counts better as a B wave here. And so this whole thing is a WXY. So the same, instead of an A and a B, we have a W and an X. And then inside the Y wave, this counts best as an A, B, and a C wave. So this could still get a little bit more of a 4 and a 5, pushing higher towards 350, but would really like to see that 350 region hold as resistance and turn down strongly. And like all of these, my preference would certainly be a longer term ending diagonal, taking multiple months to get down to those larger degree targets for the ideal primary wave 4. Moving on to General Dynamics. Very similar. I'm going to zoom out here for just a second. This one much more clearly looks like all of the primary wave 3 topped, not a fourth and an alt 5. This is acting very much like a B wave still. The only difference here is that this got low enough that it could really have been all of primary wave 4 in General Dynamics. But the structure here being an A, B, and a C wave is far more indicative of the B wave topping here soon. However, it is possible that we have an ABC move up for what will be wave 1 of a larger diagonal. So if we see only a corrective move down that can't seem to break under maybe these Fibonacci fan lines of support in the 160, the low 160s, then it's possible that this is ABC up for wave 1, and we're going to get an ABC for wave 2 that holds, and then we'll get an ABC move up for a third in the start of that primary wave 3. But we'll be looking, this can either count as wave 1 of the C wave down, or that wave 2. So we'll be watching for signs as far as what the other ones seem to be doing. In the shorter term, this drop may not necessarily be the start of the C wave just yet, the larger parentheses C down. This could be 1, 2, 3, and if it holds right around 178 here, it can still push up one more time towards 200, maybe even up towards 208 for a fifth wave of this C. Much below 178 though, and it'll start to look a lot more like a top to this B wave. Moving on to Northrop Grumman, NOC. Again, looks much more like our primary wave 4 started. The ideal target is down here just under 170. But in the shorter term, this could be trying to head higher in the C wave of a larger B. For this to be all of the B wave at the 618, you really kind of have to rely on more of a WX and then an ABC for a Y wave, which is certainly valid as we were looking at in the LMT or General Dynamics charts, but the have to give this room as long as it's holding over, I'd say maybe 270 to head up towards 325 and more of a C wave before it drops hard. RTN is the next in our smaller group of the largest of these market caps. Let's zoom out and go to daily chart. And again, very clear start to the primary wave 4, still under a 618 retrace for this B wave, so not in danger of making a new high as an alt fifth of this primary 3. And the ideal move is for this to start a C wave very soon, coming down into this region of the fan line support and the 382 retrace of primary wave 3. That also happens to be support from the fourth wave of 1 degree lower. UTX is next. UTX is one that has gotten very close to a higher high. It can count as an awkward ending diagonal, with this pushing up a little bit further towards the 150 to 163 region in the alt blue fifth wave, as long as it holds support, I'd say over about 131, 130. That would be the first indication that this is either truncated in the blue fifth as an extension of this 3, or just topped in the B wave, as awkward as it looks. And ideal support on this one is for a C wave to come down into the 100 to 90 region. Next to last is going to be TDG. TDG got a pretty significant extension past where it looked like it was trying to top in this blue ending diagonal, and then it gapped over that, kind of held a consolidation on top of the line, but this itself looks kind of like an ending diagonal extension. So this easily could have completed the pattern, and it's just pushing that cycle degree third, so an even larger degree top forming, and a similar move that most things might get for all of their primary wave 4 on TDG could easily be just the primary degree A wave, and then it only gets a B wave, and then it heads down lower into 2020 or 2021 as this larger cycle degree wave 4. And then last, let's take a look at HRS. HRS, I think, probably has the greatest chance, or the one that I would trust the most to get a little bit more extension higher, as long as it holds support in the 158 region. This can count as that same smaller degree fourth wave in the extension of the 5 of parentheses 5 of primary degree wave 1. And that can extend all the way up towards 188, 190, as long as it's going to hold the 158 region. It does not need to get that extension. It can certainly count as complete. But so a break of I'd say probably 157.50 would be the first indication that we're probably starting to top. And this could get the entire ABC down for the primary wave 4, which at this point maybe ideally holds right around 95. So the A wave might hold a little bit higher here, right around 120. And then a B wave and C wave down. All right, we'll go ahead and end there, and I'll get this uploaded for you guys, and see you next week.